Okay, I need to show you something because I don't think most people have clocked how fast this is moving. In the last few months, Chinese companies have rolled out robots and digital humans that look, sound, and behave close enough to us that they're already shipping into jobs, shops, and even people's living rooms. And here's the part that got me. Nobody had to build a perfect copy of a human for any of this to work. They just had to get good enough. I've been down this rabbit hole a while now, so I'll be upfront. I find it fascinating way more than scary. So stick with me on this one. If this is the kind of stuff that you love chewing on, do me a favor and hit subscribe because this whole channel lives on exactly these deep dives, and I really don't want you to miss the next one. Okay, now it's time for me to explain what I mean by good enough. JD, one of the biggest platforms, says its AI live streamers have promoted more than 4,000 brands, pushed order conversion up by roughly 30% during off-peak hours, and cut the cost of running a live stream by about 90% compared to what the full human crew does. 90%. And you only need about a minute of source video to spin one up for something like $1,000. It gets wilder though. In June 2025, an AI clone of one of China's most famous live streamers, Luo Yonghao, hosted a session built on Baidu model, and it pulled in around $7.65 million in sales. The twist? It outsold the real guy. The avatar streamed for over 6 hours straight. There are now hundreds of thousands of digital avatar companies registered across China, and analysts expect the virtual human market to be worth hundreds of billions of yuan by 2030. This isn't a demo anymore. This is an industry. And that right there is the whole thesis of this video. You don't need to fool anyone completely. You just need to be convincing enough for one specific job. Once you clear that bar, the quiet replacement begins. Now, let's step into the physical world because this is where it gets really interesting. Meet Moya. She was unveiled in early 2026 at Zhangjiang Robotics Valley in Shanghai by a startup called DroidUp, also known as DroidUp. They're calling her the world's first biometric AI robot, and the headline feature is properly clever. Warm skin. Moya's surface sits between about 32 and 36 degrees Celsius, roughly the same as yours. The founder, Li Qingdu, put it simply: most robots feel cold and mechanical, and a machine that's meant to serve people should feel warm, like something you can connect with. The specs back up the ambition. She stands around 1.65 meters and weighs only about 32 kilos, which is featherweight for a full-size humanoid. Hidden behind her eyes are high-definition cameras that track your face in real time, so she can hold eye contact, nod along, and shift her expression to show joy, anger, or sorrow. DroidUp claims 92% human-like walking gait, running on their Walker 3 platform with cameras and lidar for getting around. The price lands around $173,000, and she's aimed at train stations, banks, museums, malls, hospitals, and elder care, with companionship pitched as a future option. Is she perfect? No. Watch the footage and you can still clock that she's a robot. The skin reads a little plasticky, the movement is slightly off, and the internet reaction was proper split between "this is amazing" and "this is deeply unsettling." This brings me to the hardest part of all of this, the face. Turns out walking isn't the final boss of robotics, the face is. A company called AheadForm, led by a Columbia-trained researcher named Yuhong Hu, has been building robot heads that are hard to look away from. Their ELF V1, shown in late 2025, packs around 30 artificial face muscles driven by tiny brushless motors under a silicon skin, paired with AI that reads your expression and reacts within milliseconds. When a clip of one of their faces went viral in early 2026, blinking and glancing around a room like it was taking everything in, it lit up the whole "are we in the uncanny valley or climbing out of it" debate all over again. A robot that can lift boxes but stares straight through you with a dead expression will never be trusted in a hospital room or a classroom. The face is the interface. Get it right, and the machine stops feeling like a machine. That's exactly why so much money is pouring into skin, eyes, and micro-expressions instead of just arms and legs. Here's the next layer, and it's the one that people underestimate. Memory. An American company, Realbotix, just delivered its first robot running a system called Vinci to the telecom giant Ericsson back in April 2026. Vinci tucks cameras inside the robot's eyes so it holds real eye contact while it watches the room, but the clever bit is that it recognizes people it has met before, recalls your previous conversations, and picks up right where you left off. Sit with that for a second. Instead of "please hold while I transfer you," it's more like, "Hey, last time you mentioned that network issue, how did that turn out?" That's the gap between a vending machine with a face and something that starts to feel like a relationship. Memory is what turns a one-off novelty into a presence you get used to, and once you're used to it, you start leaning on it. I find this really impressive from a design standpoint, even as it raises fair questions about how much these systems should remember about this. And it's a global race, so not just a Chinese one, which tells you how big the price actually is. And then there's the one that made me sit up straight. In late June 2026 in Shenzhen, UBTECH unveiled the UWORLD U1, which it bills as the world's first mass-produced full-size ultra-bionic humanoid. The numbers are wild. It runs an emotion-aware model that claims to read more than 20 emotional states at over 90% accuracy, with responses in about half a second. It comes in 3 tiers, starting near $16.5 thousand and climbing past $100,000 for the top model. And within weeks of launch, it had over 13,000 pre-orders. But here's the feature everyone is talking about. Using 3D facial reconstruction and voice cloning, the U1 can be built to look and sound like a specific person. A partner who moved away, a parent, even someone who has passed away. UBTECH is framing all of this around loneliness, pointing at China's tens of millions of people living alone. And it's donating 100 customized units this year to isolated seniors and separated families. The internet here is kind, and I love that the core mission is fighting isolation, but rebuilding a dead loved one as a robot is questionable for me. And even the launch demos stumbled with laggy responses and a few awkward pauses. So I think this technology is remarkable and the ambition is beautiful, but I also think we need to be careful and clear-eyed about where the line sits. Both of those can be true at the same time, and pretending otherwise doesn't help anybody. And in case you think all of this is just showroom fluff, UBTECH has another line of robots, the Walker S-2, that has already clocked in for real work. Under a contract worth around $37 million, these humanoids have been deployed at the Fangcheng border crossing with Vietnam, guiding travelers, managing quests, and helping with inspections. They can even swap their own batteries in about 3 minutes, so they basically never clock off. That's not a stage with nice lighting. That's a live government checkpoint doing a job a person used to do. So here's where I've landed after all this. Perfect human replication was never the goal, and that's the exact reason this is happening faster than most people expected. The bar isn't indistinguishable from a person. The bar is good enough to greet you, answer you, remember you, or keep you company. Warm skin, eye contact, a smile, and a memory. Those aren't decorations. They are the handshake that makes us drop our guard and treat the machine like it belongs to a human civilization. Now, I'll be straight with you, I'm mostly optimistic about where this goes. A robot that helps an elderly person feel less alone, a robot that staffs a quiet museum at midnight, or that carries a real conversation with someone who has nobody else to talk to, that's a genuine gift when it's built with care. The trick is that care part. We still get to decide how this plays out, and I'd much rather walk into it with my eyes open and a bit of excitement than pretend that it isn't already here. If you made it all the way to this point, you're my kind of person, and it really does help the channel if you tap that like button and subscribe, since that tells the algorithm to push videos like this one out to more curious people. And also, drop it in the comments. Would you ever let one of these into your home? I read every single comment, and I'll catch you in the next one.